Hey guys, welcome back. Today we will be looking at a cool feature that was recently introduced into Photoshop. It's the Face Aware Liquify. Now, we had the Liquify filter for quite a long time, and I was really excited to see this introduced because I've actually seen it being already used in Photoshop Fix, which is a bit like the light version of the retouching techniques that you have in Photoshop, but you can use them on your phones and tablets. It's worth checking out if you haven't tried it already, and we are going to show it in a few of these videos here in the 365 series. But the Face Aware Liquify is something that once I first seen it, I obviously tested it out on people, but then I am always excited to push the new technologies and find out whether they work on different things. Like you've seen in the 1-minute video, I was testing it out on a drawing. So I just did a portrait drawing quickly, and I tested it out whether I can change the features of the drawing, and also like to change the mood. She was a little bit like moody, and then I turned her into a bit happier. And I think it worked quite well without any visible distortions. I think it did a really good job. But here in this video, I'm going to take it one step further, and instead of drawings, we will try the feature on statues. So I have a few examples here that I'm going to go through, and I have an interesting example to finish on. So make sure you watch it all the way to the end. So the first one is this statue, and I'm just going to go through quickly. Filter, Liquify. By the way, always whenever you use the feature, you should first turn it into a smart filter. I mean, turn the layer into a smart object by using Convert for Smart Filters, and then use Liquify, because that way all the changes that you do will be non-destructive. So when you open up Liquify and you see in the Face Aware Liquify area that there is a face recognized, then you are fine. You know that you can then do the changes. So Photoshop needs to recognize the face, and that's the key. So sometimes a statue or a drawing can be too obscure or abstract for the filter to recognize the face. And I've even found a few photographs where the face or faces were not recognizable. But it's good to know that if there's more faces, or if there's more people in the picture and recognizable, then there will be more faces to choose from. So you can actually do multiple faces as well in the same image. I'm not going to spend too much time in here because you see how this feature works. I'm just going to show you something funny. If I change the mouth height, it's almost like the statue talking. So I'm just messing around here, but you can see how cool the feature works. And of course, I can change all the features that you would normally change. We can change chin height, jawline, and so on and so forth. He looks like he's pouting now. We can change the face width, and yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. So I'm not even going to spend too much time here. If I press OK or accept all these changes, I can show you before and after these few changes that I've done. So let's move on to the next example. And I wanted to show you specifically because you don't always have to have the face completely straight on. You probably noticed that also in my 1-minute tutorial that I did a side view, so or like a 2/3, not a straight on version. So it works well with these angles as well. And I'm just going to quickly show you this, that we can turn this man and make him much happier by adding a smile there. And maybe when someone's smiling, usually the eyes are getting smaller, and especially the height can be reduced. So something like that. He looks much more relaxed and chilled. Or maybe we can change the jawline a bit, something like that. He looks quite sad and like thin, his face, so let's make him a bit more like well fed, something like that. So again, we can see before and after. So I just wanted to show you that it works again with a statue, even on an angle. And the next example is a quite scary one. It's just a very old statue, but because of the high contrast and because of it being black and white, it's a little bit depressing, this photograph and statue. But the reason I'm showing this to you is just to show that when you have very distinct like damages or scars on the statue, it might make it difficult for Photoshop to recognize the facial features. So if I go into the filter menu and choose Liquify, you will see that there's no face detected. But as soon as I use like the spot healing brush tool and try to get rid of a few of these damages on the forehead, let's test it now. So if I go back to Liquify, it's still not finding it. So we probably need to get rid of this other big one here. And it might be the chin area that is the most problematic. So it might not find the lips, but let's just check it again. So Liquify. And there you go. So you can see once I fix those two areas, it comes up straight away and it recognizes the face. And I would be able to, again, change all the features as normal. Now, the last example is probably the most interesting one. It's going back to the illustration or painting this time. And it's obviously the famous painting, the self-portrait of Vincent van Gogh. Example here shows that if I use the original layer, which has the background and the image as well, if I use there the filter Liquify, it's going to not recognize the face again. So no face is detected. But once I isolate the person from the background, so once Vincent is on his own and not with the background, then without any changes immediately recognize the face. So that's another thing that you might need to do sometimes, even with people, is to separate them from their background if the face ever Liquify doesn't work. And once again, it's just really fun. I know it's like almost sacrilege to play around with famous paintings like this, but why not? I'm not going to sell this to anyone. I'm just messing around, and he's quite sad as well, so we can give him a little bit of smirk or smile, and then we can probably also maybe just increase some features. No, I think that's fine. And of course, don't forget that you have also your tools here on the left, so like the forward warp tool, with which you can change things around like normally. So that didn't change, so you can still restructure manually and using the face aware Liquify at the same time. When I use this forward warp tool, I always make sure that I use a big brush, so it's not as noticeable when I make changes. And it's good to know that if you hold down the Alt or Option key, you can reconstruct the changes that you've done with the brush without affecting the changes that you're doing on the right in the face aware Liquify. So that's quite neat, and it's a smart way of doing it. So it completely separates it, because the things on the right are non-destructive anyway, because you can just change the values, while the brush can be easily recreated or recovered by holding down the Alt or Option key when you are drawing. So if I click OK, we can now see the updated version. Because I have it in the background as well, I'm just going to turn it off, so you can see before and after. So obviously this is just a quick run through of a few examples using the face aware Liquify, but I would love to see what you come up with it. Again, if you have a photograph of a person or an illustration or a picture of a statue that you will be trying this out on, send us the before and after, and you can have fun with this. It doesn't have to be a serious one, but on a serious note, this can be used really well for fixing gestures and also like proportions of the face, because sometimes it's not the face is the problem, but the actual lens that was used to capture a picture. So sometimes when you take a picture too close to someone, the face will look distorted, and for that, fixing that, this is again an amazing feature. So I love it and I use it very often. So hopefully you liked this examples, and I will see you guys in the next one, so stay tuned. Goodbye.